Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for the collective since today it's the full moon in Aries, which, by the way, it's a full moon in conjunction with Chiron, which is the wounded healer. So it might be a little bit spiky or a little bit uncomfortable to say the least, especially with, people with anger issues or repressed emotions, things that have never allowed, you or anybody that you know with those issues to express yourself, to express themselves. And I'm just mentioning all of this because it is part of the message here. In fact, it starts that way. But just to give you a little bit of a background story of what's been going on these past few days, um, I'm actually, using or playing or shuffling my old deck, my deck of tarot cards, the original one, since I received that message of just going back to the basics. And I did pull a reading that's been lingering on. And, whenever I try to record it, something happens. And so I've been just waiting for the right moment to record that message. But for some reason today, maybe it's the full moon, the energy of the full moon, especially in Aries, which, just asks for us to be courageous, right? And take a leap in a sense, a leap of faith, a leap of courage, a leap of bravery um, that takes us out of our comfort zone. And so, for that reason, it might not be, a big step out of my comfort zone because it's still my deck, but I've been called to go back to my combined deck of tarot cards and astrological oracle cards. So, the deck that I usually use for the collective readings, that because of everything that I've been dealing with, has been just overwhelming, right? So many different archetypes and many different energies. So it's been a little bit too much to me. But, for the past few days, it's almost like I've been feeling the intensity of this full moon kind of like beforehand or a few days before it actually occurs. And I feel like that's been quite often actually, now that I think of it. Um, but anyways, the thing is, today, despite knowing the vulnerability of this full moon in conjunction with Chiron, personally, I've been feeling it very empowering and very inspiring. And so, yeah, despite any discomfort, despite any fear, despite any insecurity, um, I have sat down here with the cards, and they're just talking and talking and talking. So, despite anything that's been going on in my personal life, I just feel like it's my duty, or better said, is my honor to record this reading for you. So that's the reason why I'm doing it, right? And I truly hope that if you are struggling with repressed emotions, that this message may help you, release some of that, or at least um, become a little bit more conscious or more aware of why that is, right? Have a little bit of understanding of, where it comes from. Just another side note, just to finish this very long introduction to the reading, but I have been following this guy on YouTube. I have found this channel called Inner Work by Jordan Thornton. He's a British man who's, you know, deep, profound, open mind, is just devoted to learning and studying everything around psychology and spirituality and overcoming trauma and doing inner work and all of that with such passion, but also with a lot of discernment. So I have been watching a lot of his content, and I just wanted to share this because it might be helpful for you as well. Maybe I'll put his link over on the description box if you want to check his channel. I don't know him personally. I just found him and his content very helpful in times of need for myself. So maybe it's useful for you as well. So now into the reading. Let's dive in because we're already more than 5 minutes in. So let's talk about how this full moon in Aries might be activating these deep emotions, especially some sort of anger or rage or repressed expression of your truth, of your creativity, because we're beginning here with the Page of Wands. So this card is talking about the spontaneous, the free, the creative child, right? The one that hasn't yet been corrupted by, the adults or society or culture. Um, but what this card is actually showing is almost like that threshold, almost like that age where, we're no longer like a very young child. It's like we are already a little bit of aware of, adulthood in our parents' world and their talks and all of that. And our creativity could be affected or mined or repressed in a sense because, you know, there's some sort of repression. There's some sort of what is the word? I'm trying to find the word. It's like when parents like just shut down like the voice of a child, right? It's like you cannot cry, you cannot shout, you cannot be angry, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, right? A lot of restrictions. So it's almost like that threshold, that age where, we go from being completely spontaneous to, just shutting down that natural way of expressing what we feel, what we see, what we understand of the world, what we're interested in, and how that just messes up with our heart, with our feelings, right? It's like another page, but the Page of Cups. This Page of Cups was talking about how our heart, when we are a child, we're so open, right? It's like our heart is just open. There is nothing really blocking us from feeling everything, from absorbing everything. So it's almost like the creativity is still there, the heart is still there. It might be wounded, but it's like there is, I don't want to say fixing, maybe fixing is not the word, but it's like this reclaiming that can happen, right? Because this is interesting because the world card is here, but the world is, sometimes I see this card as a cage, right? A prison of sorts. But like the child is looking at the world from the outside in. So it's almost like it's not imprisoned, it's not caged in, it's not locked into a fixed state of mind or a fixed way of living in this world, right? It's like you can see your world, you can see what's going on, right? Maybe very personally or out in the collective, right? From the outside in. And I want to say that this is almost like this guidance here or suggestion to reclaim the creativity, reclaim the spontaneity in showing whatever emotion is coming through, right? It's like the same emotion that fuels rage because it's being repressed, right? It's like over time it just grows and grows and grows, and then it's like a volcano, right? It's just erupting with whatever aggression might be, right? But if it's channeled through kind of like this creativity, it's like it's going to burst into uh, kind of like I don't want to say useful things, but it's the word that I heard right now. It's more like unthreatening, stuff, right? It's like it's just when creativity is not used, it's not utilized or expressed, that it hurts. And not just oneself, but the other, right? But when, doing this inner work, this type of inner child reclaiming of, your, it's like your natural, most essential, innate type of creative urge. It's like that's when you're reclaiming also your innocence, your heart, your pure emotion, and how to channel that. But looking to the world and realizing that you're not imprisoned, right? It's like that's the main message. It's like, okay, the world is out there, and I could engage in this game and imprison myself, but I choose not to. And because the other side of this equation, or the other, it's almost like this other sphere of observation of the world, is Neptune here. So this card from the astrological oracle deck, and it's talking about this process of growing up, right? Coming to age, the child and into the adult. And I just want to say the adult here, it's just because in terms of size, it's also bigger, right? And it's almost like there is this process of reclaiming the inner child, but as an adult, a conscious, an aware adult, right? Because Neptune is talking about this antenna, right, to our soul, to our higher self, to spirit, to tune in, right, to reclaim that connection to that inner voice. So it is talking about the adult that is aware of the child that chose not to become locked up. And maybe there is kind of like this perceived sense of not being able to express creatively or emotionally, because it's like ex, the world expects us, it's like just to be locked, right? It's like all of the norms and all of the rules and regulations, and do this, do that, should be doing this, should be doing that, or cannot do this, cannot do that, whatever it is. It's like it's just locking us up. But looking at from the outside in, it's like both of these characters, or both of these stages of development, are understanding the reality for what it is, observing the world for what it is, and not, it's like not placing yourself inside this prison, right? I'm just wondering if the world wants to be described in another way, because what I heard right now is like this crazy bubble, but it's not. It's almost like it. However you look at the world right now, right? How crazy or how messy it is. It's just talking about not locking yourself up in there. You don't need to lock yourself up in there, and therefore there is this ability, almost like this, it's like this natural ability that is just being reclaimed. It hasn't been lost, right? I feel like that's the reason why there is even like the ability, the capacity to look at the world and see it for what it is, even interpreting, if that's the case for you, if that's resonating, with this way of describing the world and interpreting the world as a prison, or, just think about like this prison as the matrix, right? We often talk about or hear people talking about like escaping the matrix, or wanting to flee, or wanting to leave this reality. I myself have been through this phase, and right now I think about it very differently. But I'm sure if you're on this journey of self-awareness, you've heard somebody talking about that, right? So it's not a matter of escaping, it's a matter of already being able to look at it from the outside, but still living in it. I hope that makes sense. So that is the process of maturation, right? And growing up, coming to age, coming of age. So the next row here, actually, there are four cards. And if you look at the thumbnail, you'll see that there are four, three, and one, which feels almost like this pyramid. And I'm getting like this sensation of almost like this work of climbing up a mountain, which is also funny because what's coming to mind right now, it's a reference to a book that Jordan Thornton refers to in one of his videos, or even like in many of his videos, which is called Halfway Up the Mountain. And which is actually funny because the name of the author is also Mariana. She's not Brazilian, she's American, if I'm correct. So, but anyways, it's just giving me this image of, this effort, right? And like the energy of Aries, which is where this full moon is activating in all of us today, is very labor intense, right? It's like, is very driven. It requires a lot of effort to, leave the comfort zone and do something as grand as climbing up a mountain, right? But we don't have to lose our hope or lose our faith that because we haven't yet reclaimed this creativity, that we haven't yet achieved the top of the mountain, that we have failed. In fact, the bottom row here is like, card after card is like the encouragement that every step of the way, even the phase that we were at the bottom of the mountain, was very enriching, because the next card is the King of Pentacles. So the King of Pentacles here is representing kind of like the day to day type of work, the materially based type of stuff that we need to do, right? Just to be here, right? To live according to the norms, not just by society or, dictated by, whatever culture you live in, but like the conditions, the physics, the laws, the natural laws of this physical reality, right? Just living here on planet Earth in this 3D reality, right? It's like it has conditioned us to play this role of being a human in a physical body, right? But in achieving kind of like the highest development, or kind of like doing the best that we could, and achieving, a very well established life, or at least a level of maturity that is in accordance with your age, right? Or, your consciousness, or your ability to um, do things or produce things, or live experiences that are enriching, right? So, but the thing about the King of Pentacles here is that it's being followed by the Magician, and there is a switch, right, that is happening on the crown, because it's wanting to shift gears from the minor arcana to the major arcana. So it's almost like we need to, even like if we know that we have established life, or we have already reached a level of sovereignty in this physical plane, it's almost like we need to let go of the crown to wear the hat of the magician, to become the magician. It's almost like we're going to understand the manifestation. It's not about making money, right? It's like we're going to understand it not from a material perspective, but rather a more expansive, a more spiritually based type of understanding of what manifestation truly is. So the thing about the magician is that it doesn't reveal everything all at once. So there are a few surprises. It's like there are a few sparkles of magic, but it's almost like it's only when you wear the hat of the magician that you're going to see through the eyes of the magician, in a sense. So, but first, it's almost like there is this in between stage of, maybe a temporary grief, a temporary letting go of the crown that we've been wearing as a collective, right? Which has been great. It's almost like we have aced the test for being human in this physical plane. And I'm not talking about the world at large, I'm talking about this collective, right? And I'm not, I'm just thinking how judgmental that was. But, in reality, it's like if you're already able to look at the world in the state that it is from the outside looking in, of course there are things that are still imprisoning us in, even being able to see it from outside. So the wands in the collective right now, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you're one of them, or one of us. It's like it's like you have already reached this level of sovereignty and self-awareness that letting go or putting down the crown doesn't mean letting go of all of the riches, because it doesn't mean that you're going to lose, your possessions, your car, your home, whatever, your money. It means that the true riches, and that's been something that's been coming up also in the recent readings that I did, about like the true value, the true abundance, the true wealth, right? And putting down this king's crown, it's like it's now going to give space or allow this other experience, this other way of understanding manifestation, which is higher, right? And so these two cards actually flipped out together, ending here this first part, the Six of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. And what this is talking about is that Eve, it's almost like reassurance if you are still in the midst of, putting down the crown, to open space for the magician, right? For you to wear the magician's hat. So it requires courage, right? It's the atmosphere, the it's kind of like this gentle, or maybe not so gentle, nudge of this full moon in Aries. But yes, it does require kind of like this assertiveness or this risk, right? It's like it's a risk that is um it's worth taking because there is no loss. There is just gain, right? Gaining magic. It's like learning what true magic feels like and learning how that manifests here in this physical reality. So there is no loss because the Six of Pentacles is being reassured by this Queen of Cups. Whoever this might be in your life, I want to say that either this is a partner or a parent or a family member or a good friend, a sponsor, uh, whomever, that somehow is giving you the support, either emotional or maybe both, physical, monetary, right, financial. So it's like it's the reassurance that they are standing next to you, by your side, even when you take this big risk, this big leap of faith of putting down something that has been very well established, right? But it's reached its limit, right? And I'm getting goosebumps because I know maybe how emotional that can be. And this one, they understand that completely. So they understand not just what are kind of like the physical things that are implied here, right? Maybe like a reduction in, expenses, or, in lifestyle, or whatever it is, right? But still, it's like it's fair. And they're going to stand by your side saying, I'm here for you, right? I'm right next to you. Things are okay. Things are balanced. There is enough. This is what I'm hearing very, very powerfully. It's like they're saying there is enough. Even if you decide to do this, take this big risk, it's like, I believe in you. I believe in your magic. It's almost like they are also curious to see how this magic unfolds. Mostly not because they want to see it monetarily, but because they feel the truthfulness of this, right? So it's almost like they believe in this reclaiming of this inner creativity, this inner child that has something to be expressed in such a magical way, that now with maturity and this reconnection to your higher self, to your inner voice, to this creativity that is, and it's always been there, right? It's like it's always been there. And now that I'm holding the Page of Cups, it's almost like maybe this could be you. It's like this is like your higher self, or maybe like, a good friend that reminds you, that's almost like, you know, just hearing them talk or just listening to what they were saying. It's like it's almost like representing it's like the expression of your inner voice, right? Or your inner feelings. So that is really powerful. I mean, to be honest, I know that I've said, like, take a risk and, take a leap, but I'm not seeing this as like a huge risk because I know that there is like this unknown, right? There's a lot to be revealed yet, but I don't know. I feel like very hopeful, like overall with this message. So, yeah, I truly hope that this was helpful in any way. I hope you enjoy this full moon. I know that it's a rippling effect, even from April when we had the total solar eclipse in Aries that also activated the um, Chiron, the wounded healer. So it's been, maybe this process of maturing, right? And see how things unfold. So I truly hope that you see that even if this sounds like a big risk, maybe it's not as big as, you would have thought back then. So, yeah, I truly hope that you enjoyed it, that it was useful in a way. I am going to pull more cards to see where this message wants to go. And also, I'm going to pull from the astrological rooms in the extended reading. So, if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find the link down below. If not, see you next time. Bye.